a related question from a student as well, asking me who should do architecture, right? And that was related to not recommending architecture. As per the previous video, we talked about the quote about architecture being strong art, but a weak practice. And along those lines, that would be the recommendation that I make about who should do architecture. Now, again, let's separate the two. Architecture as an art and architecture as a profession or a business, okay? And now, from the point of view of a business, yes, people aren't recommending it, but if you as a person kind of grew up with sort of construction type things or building type things, you know, the typical story is, I grew up playing with Lego. I don't personally love Lego, but some of these people do. And if you like this sort of building thing, the construction process, or even if it's not exactly the construction process, but the business process and so on and so forth, and you have an interest in the design of architecture or buildings, but not like an idealistic, very high-end or naive idea of design, then yeah, architecture could be for you, right? Basically, you'd be very much entrenched in the typical architecture or the definition of an architect, which is possibly, you know, definitely probably 70, 80%, which is on the process of architecture, which is the codes, the regulations, the running of projects, the managing of things, the construction side of things, the marketing. Well, most people don't like marketing, but the running the business side or running the practice of architecture side of things. The 20% side could well be design. Now that is based on the whole business process. 20, 15% is where you get paid to design, and that is where your fees come out. And the rest of it is the other stuff, right? So if you're that kind of a person that you like mostly the craft of building or the process of construction, all that kind of stuff, and want some design, both design authority as well as design sense, doing good architecture, because you can't do good architecture without some form of design, right? If that's who you are, then great. That's where you can excel in architecture. Some people, a lot of people in high school think that they want to do architecture because there's a mix of art and science. That's typically the very sort of childish or the impression of things before they get into architecture. And in some ways that's true. But if you're much more on the art side, and it's not science, it could be called engineering, but it's not even that either. It's more construction, okay? So if you are more on the sort of art side, but you're not sure about the construction side of things, or the being part of the construction industry literally, then it could be questionable whether you do architecture or not. Now that is not, that is not 100% of the time. There are, a lot of idealists in architecture, and it's a different path. Now think about it. In architecture, you're paid to draw. And even any kind of form of payment, you're probably one of the highest paid professions to be able to draw. Okay, I think you're an artist, you don't get paid as well. Designer, questionable, to actually draw, right? In architecture, you're still able to draw, okay? And so it's a pretty good deal for some people already to be able to just be paid to draw. And let alone to sort of be involved in the art of things and to be paid for it, it's not a bad deal. So for those who are idealistic about wanting to do the art, and for me, again, I didn't want to do architecture if there was no design part of it. I did it because there was design. And if I had to do it again, it was all construction. I wouldn't have done it. I would have been a construction manager if I wanted to do that. And I didn't want to. I don't love construction that much, right? So if you are still idealistic about, wanting to do the art side of things, or you're very, you can't live without design, or you're doing it because you want to design, and architecture being the highest form of art or design you can possibly get, potentially, controversial, then yeah, great, do it. It's a different path, and it is still possible. There are tons of architects, star architects especially, who came from a different path, and they might not be fully interested in the construction side of things, but they became famous, right? Now think about it. An artist, how does an artist become famous? They do it kind of through their story, through the marketing side of things. I tell my students that I can get you closer to becoming a star architect, but there is a particular path to take, and it might not be through the typical constructional technical side of things to be an architect. It might not be through the typical professional path, okay? It could involve marketing. It could be more on the art side of things, and basically to put your name out there, to do things, to break rules, to do all that. It's possible. It's not impossible. And so if you are up for that challenge, and if you have that kind of determination and grit, and even if you don't have that right now, if you develop that over time, then great, do architecture as well. Because it is one of the few very unique fields or professions in this world where you can deal with so many factors, be so sort of theoretical, conceptual, filled with all these beautiful ideas, and still be paid for it. And still call yourself a professional. And we have a registration process as well, right? But yeah, don't sort of mix the two in a sense of you want this, but you're not willing to walk that path, and you want it to be easy for you, then this might not be the most easiest profession. If you want an easy profession, then consider, something that might scale better, be simpler in a way, deal with money more directly, or have more scalable things. Okay. According to the Guinness Book of Records, architecture is probably is the most one of the most hardest degrees to complete, actually, and it does involve a lot of knowledge and a lot of process to learn things and to get good at things. That said, there are faster ways to get there, and that is what spatial thinking is about, to get you there faster in the way you think and the results that you get, right? Because I think university and the profession on the whole is going way too slow to get you to a certain position where you can then decide on better things. After we get to that stage of getting to better things, then we need a whole other process to actually ensure innovation within the profession, but that's another video, or that's another story. So to answer the original question of who should do architecture, my opinion would be those who are, again, in the business or construction side of things already and have some and want some design sense, or those who are really pushing for that amazing, cutting edge design outcomes and are willing to put the effort into a quite a different path, almost like a rock star path, right? That is within the profession. There is a third path, which is the academic path. And that's quite a popular path. And I tell my students this a lot about the academic path, which I don't exactly recommend, because there is a whole other sort of ball game within the academic field and sort of navigating that. But it's not a bad path. You know, a senior lecturer is probably pretty much paid the same as a senior associate. And if you don't have both, senior associate will take you a long time to get to, from junior to senior to senior associate. But a senior lecturer will take some time, but most people are surprised by it's actually similar kind of salaries. Okay. The academic side is very much a good side of architecture as well. And there are academic degrees and there are professional degrees. An academic degree is like a math degree, where when you come out, not everyone's employing mathematicians, or you're doing biology, or you're doing some kind of science degree or social science. You don't come out just somehow getting a social science job title. Okay, so these are more or less academic degrees where you graduate and you get re-employed by the universities, right? Whereas professional degrees are professionally geared. You graduate and you go into the workforce. Okay, architecture, in my opinion, is somewhere between an academic and a professional degree. And many architects actually dance between the two, like myself, where you would teach on as well as you would work, and that is the beautiful thing. Okay, that is the great thing about architecture, and this can persist throughout your entire career. And so, whilst the career itself or the business itself might be weak, the art again is great, and the educational side of things can be also awesome for some people, right? And so, you know, it is a nice sort of thing to have, a nice sort of life to live, to be able to sort of dance between these great ideas and the professional ideas. And again, I wouldn't have invented Inkla, the patented app that I have, without the architectural process, which dances between the professional and the academic side of things. And so true innovation requires some unknowns and a creative process. And so no one can really tell you exactly, you know, who's best doing architecture or where the profession's going to go. But isn't it exciting to be engaged in a creative process that can take you anywhere? You know, literally, potentially anywhere. That said, architecture is a niche because it's so unique, it can be very niche. And I found it really difficult to leave the field or to branch off into other fields. Some people can, other people are more open-minded than myself, perhaps. But that's again a longer topic for another video. So I think to sum this up, there are probably three types of people who should do architecture: the business construction side, the idealistic kick-ass design side, and the academic side. And again, the academic can be mixed in with the profession as well. So I hope that answers your question on who should do architecture.